terrible thing to do. You must never tune them out. But that's another story.
Except the ones that I've done, which I love a lot because they gave me money for it.
Yes. Now then, before we take this next call, by the way, I am curious about the previous caller's question. Anyone ever do a decent parody of you that made you laugh?
A parody's been tried a few times. Quite a famous story of mine is called "I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream," and of course people have done, "I have no fingers and I must itch, and I have no tongue and I must blab," but parody is a very fine scalpel. It has to be used properly. There's a guy named Larry Tritton, Tritte, and he writes occasionally for the magazine of Fantasy, and he does parodies, and he does things like other writers do, and they are very, very funny because he's a humor writer. He's written for TV Guide and a lot of other places, and Tritton is the only one that I can think of who has done that, a parody of me that actually made me chuckle.
We go to...
Mr. Bohannon, you're probably wondering why this man is asking me this strange thing. Well, I have a piece in the current issue of Playboy on comic books. That's another one of my minor areas of expertise. And I love comic books, particularly contemporary ones. The adaptations that are usually done in movies and on television are usually pretty lame, and that's because they're trying to shoehorn one medium into appearing to be another. The old Batman TV series was kind of amusing sometimes, but anybody who truly loved the Batman comics, it made him cry because they turned him into a ridiculous clown. In terms of the upcoming Batman movie, I have absolutely no opinion at all. I understand that they've now revised the script. It's being directed by the director who directed Beetlejuice, and it's been written by, it's supposedly a very, very good script, and they've revised it so the Batman becomes a lesser figure, and they deal more with the Joker, who's going to be played by Jack Nicholson, and I think that's very wise, because the Joker is a character that hasn't been dealt with in film, and they can go pretty wild and not have to worry about all of the mythology that goes along with the Batman. Batman's a fairly serious character. I mean, he's a vengeful, avenging Dark Knight of the shadows, whereas the Joker is kind of this deranged loony who sort of kills people for chuckles, and I think it could be a kind of an amusing movie. I don't know.
We'll try
wait to see.
Nancy and Sluggo as a sitcom, maybe. Akron, Ohio, next. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Ellison. I've been a reader of yours off and on for some 20 years now. I was glad to see Paladin of the Lost Hour included in Angry Candy, since I had seen it filmed version on the Twilight Zone, and I enjoyed it very much. Two questions. What was the inspiration behind writing Paladin, and will there ever be a sequel to Demon with a Glass Hand? Thank you.
I'll answer the second one first. No, there will never be a sequel to Demon with a Glass Hand. I might do it as a full novel, but not unless we do a movie of it. I would do the same story. As for Paladin of the Lost Hour, again, the birth of that story was a woman I know who had interviewed me some years ago for the NEA Syndicate. We were talking one night. I can't remember exactly what she said, but she said something like, do you ever get back the hour that you lose when you go to daylight saving, when you leave daylight saving time and you fall back, do you ever regain that hour? What if you were to die before you got that hour back? You would, have your life short 1 hour. And I thought, what an interesting idea, and I decided to write about the hour that was lost when they changed over from the Gregorian to the whatever the hell it is, calendar, and that's what started it.
Wow, an incredible story, and it is, by the way, also in the book, a story of an old guy, right?
Yeah.
And his battle, I guess, to watch this hour.
You know what's interesting, Mr. Bohannon, about that story? It's about two men, one of whom is a black man, the other of whom is a white man, but I never tell you which is which.
How would we know? Or do you figure that out?
No. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Ann Arbor, Michigan is next. I'll ponder this. Go ahead, Ann Arbor. You're on the air.
Hi, Harlan. Susan.
Hi.
Tom Galloway.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
Pretty good. Unfortunately, the guy from Greensboro, Sir Jump Mayor, is going to take the opportunity to plug your Playboy article on comics.
Oh, well, thank you, Tom. Tom Galloway, Mr. Bohannon, is an old friend of ours. He used to call in my radio show, and now he's somewhere out there.
New Michigan at the moment. Got back from Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's a wonderful article for people who want to find out what all the new comics are about. Very good introduction, very good illustrations, and you actually did manage to keep them from putting Pow Bam Biff in the title.
Yeah, I know. But they changed my title. Actually, my title was, Did Your Mother Throw Yours Out? And then the editor at Playboy thought he was being very hip by calling it Ain't Toontown. And I said, "Oh God, how square! My God! I mean, what made him think that was hip?" But that's Playboy. They're always about 2 years behind any trend, and always try to think that they're the definitive word.
All right, we go now to Las Nunes, New Mexico, and you're on the air with Harlan Ellison. Hello.
Hello, Harlan.
Hello there.
How you doing? I'm glad to hear Chuck Miller's doing another book of yours. He did a good job with All the Lies.
Yes, he did.
I remember a good parody that was done by Charlie Platt, and he called it A Boy and His Frog.
Yeah, well...
must not have gone over...
I don't talk about Charles Platt or with Charles Platt. Charles and I used to be friends, but that's a long time ago. And we have this sort of nodding acquaintance now. I say nodding, and he says nodding.
All right.
I've got a Philip K. Dick anecdote, and I'll hang up and listen.
Okay.
Did you say tell a Philip K. I cannot begin to tell you how I would like to have your throat between my hands at this very moment. You're lucky you're in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
No, the reason why
Don't push it, kid. Forget it. Maybe they didn't hear it. Maybe someone was, blowing their nose. They didn't hear it. Don't ask me that again. We'll stay friends.
Very well. All right. We will just consider that to be evidence that the jury is not allowed to hear, okay? We go to Kirkland, Washington. Hello.
Harlan, it's a pleasure to hear you on the radio.
Thank you.
I've been reading Angry Candy, and I enjoy it quite a bit for a book that's so somber. But I have a question that's not about writing.
Go ahead.
Would you like to comment on the recent presidential election and its result?
Oh, sure.
Or nuclear physics. We'll give you a choice.
No, Jefferson said we get pretty much the kind of government we deserve. I hope that's not true. Out of, 425 million people in the country or something like that?
Well, about 250 million.
250 million.
Yeah.
I always get it backwards. Those were the two best. I mean, really, those two mediocrities were the two best. I find Bush a terrifying figure. It was bad enough having a bad actor in the White House, but having the ex-head of the CIA absolutely chills my blood, which is not to say that I was particularly fond of Mr. Dukakis. I even noticed the moment that Mr. Dukakis lost the race, which was the moment that he was asked by the newsman in the second debate, what would you do if your wife was raped? You're against, you're for gun control and so on. Well, what would you do if your wife had been raped and killed? And his response should have been a passionate response. On the spot, he should have said, I would want to kill him with my bare hands, and that's why you would have to hold me back. That's why I, if I were president, would have to hold you back, because we are a civilized nation, and we have to fight our brutal and bestial feelings. And that's why we should be against giving people guns. And he didn't. He tried once again to be reasoned, and he was cold, and he was passionless, and he lost everyone. And so now we have the ex-head of the CIA in the White House, and next in line, should anything happen to Bush, we have the first male Stepford wife in the history of the human race, Mr. Quayle, who has roughly as much personality as a sump pump. Would you like me to say anything more about
that's okay. That pretty well covers it. Yeah, once again, tough to draw the man out, but we're doing the best we can. With Harlan Ellison, we go to Kensington, Maryland. Hello.
Hello, Harlan.
Hello there.
It is an honor to be of the same species as you. Your writings have been an incredible inspiration to me and have brought me incredible pleasure.
You are a man of perception and wonderfulness.
Thank you. I have two questions.
All right.
First off, did you really drive your car up the statue of William Oxley Thomas at Ohio State?
It was William Oxley Thompson, and yes, I did drive it right up. Jim, that was one of the things that got me thrown out of Ohio State.
Only one? Okay.
Well, yeah, there were 3 or 4. One of them was I had the lowest point average, truly. This is not hyperbole. I had the lowest point average in the history of Ohio State. Out of a possible 4-point, I had a .083, which was, I guess, 3 X's, 2 question marks, and a huh. And the second thing was one night driving my car up the statue of William Oxley Thompson down the long walk at Ohio State in Columbus. And the third thing was that I punched a professor who told me I had no writing talent. And I kind of decked that gentleman. He was not too happy about it. Yes, it is true.
Your second question, caller.
The rumor still persists. The second question is, your vocabulary after reading you is so incredibly large. How often do you refer to the OED?
I never refer to the OED. I've got an American Heritage Dictionary, and I've got a Random House Dictionary near my desk. But most of those words I just know. I love the language. It is a nifty language. English is, and there are all kinds of good words, and I like using them in the stories. And I don't do it particularly in my columns. I use big words just to confuse people, so they have to go to the dictionary and look up things. I think it's good for them. But in my stories, I when I use words that are uncommon. It is because they are the precise word that I wanted.
Now to San Francisco, and you're on the air with Harlan Ellison. Go ahead.
Hello. How do you feel about your new book that's called Angry Candy? Is that supposed to be like the real primal source of literature about death, in your opinion, or is it actually not really reaching out in your mind? Or how do you feel about that book that you...
Are you in favor of your new book, Mr. Ellison?
Am I in favor of my... No, I hate it a lot. I think it ought to be burned immediately. It's dangerous, and I don't know what this guy's talking about.
That's okay. Well, that makes us 3 for 3. In the moments that we have left here, would you go back to Ohio State to get an honorary degree?
There's 2 chances of that happening, kiddo. Slim and none. Oddly enough, I have lectured several times at Ohio State, and I always make them pay double what the going rate is. But no, I don't think that they're going to be looking to honor me too soon.
In the various things that you do, all the writing and everything, what do you do for a hobby, or is there a Harlan Ellison hobby or release?
Well, I got the most sensational wife in the world. My wife Susan and I are like a couple of 7-year-olds. We bop around my house. Our house. We've got 67,000 books in it, and good music, and a lot of paintings. And we just play a lot. And I shoot pool. I love shooting pool. And I got good friends, and they come over and we sit and we talk and we shoot pool and we go out and we have dinner. And that's basically what I do. That's my writing is my life, and it's a salutary part of it. I don't look with dread upon going to the typewriter, and when I want, when we have to go away, if I have to go out, like I've been on the road promoting the book, I can't wait to get back home. Just take off my clothes and run around naked and scream, "I'm home, I'm home."
Have you, by the way, in the space of the 2 hours we've had you, have you written, how many short stories have you written sitting there in that studio?
Well, I've only done the beginning of one short story. I was going to say to you, give me a couple of words and I'll make a short story. I'll build a short story out of them. Pick a couple of 3 nouns and I'll try and write a story around them, just to show you what I do.
All right, it was a dark and stormy night.
Well, no, you stop.
We can't use that. How about this is the Mutual Broadcasting System?
Well, this is the Mutual Broadcasting System. One night comes and it seems to be broadcast from the moon. We know, and we know there is no radio station there, but it's being picked up by the satellite, and when they track it back, it is in fact coming from the moon. And when they finally go and they find in Tycho Crater, they find there a rock which has absorbed all of the radio signals that have ever come from the Earth.
I like
all the way back.
I'm going to wait for that one to come out. Our time is closing, but we've had a ball tonight talking with Harlan Ellison. Be sure to check out this latest book of his. It's called Angry Candy, 17 stories that look at death. Big black cover, you can't miss it. Published by Houghton Mifflin. Jim Bohannon here for...